All right, let's get a new 30-minute game going. Got the white pieces, 184, hoping for a Caro can. No such luck, we'll get it someday. We'll move forward with the ruy-lopez, which is the one opening, the 184 opening that I've studied. Knight out, or pawn out, knight out, bishop out. We can castle pretty much immediately. They may play the Morphe defense, pawn to a6, in which case we will retreat our bishop and then castle. In this case, they play d6, sort of reinforcing this pin on on their knight. We might be able to take advantage of that later. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and get castled. And then now removing the pin with bishop to d7. So how do we proceed from here? We could do something like, we could go ahead and take. I don't know what advantage that would confer to us. I think probably our next move has to do with the d pawn. We either play d4 or d3, opening up our dark squared bishop and preparing our knight as well. If we wanted to move to d2, getting our dark squared bishop out of the way would give us that ability. I say we go for it. Let's play d4. Let's get all the way out there. If they take here, I think the move is then to take their bishop. They play f6. I don't think an amazing move at this early juncture that gives us the ability to play queen to h5 check at some point if we wanted to do that. And I don't see a good way for them to defend against it. I guess they could play g6, further weakening their king side. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's keep an eye on that. I think that could be valuable for us. In the meantime, let's finish our development. I like to finish development before doing any shenanigans. I don't want to lose our advantage by overextending far too early. Our opponent still has these pieces. They can't castle kingside. If they get their queen out of the way, they could long castle. I don't know if they want to do that necessarily. King goes to here, rook goes to here, and it's sort of hemmed in by a number of pieces. So I don't think a strong opening necessarily from our opponent. I do see pawn to d5 as an option hitting their knight. Escape squares are here and here, so maybe if we move our queen to d2, or if we had moved our bishop to d2 earlier, that would have been a nice attack on their knight. So maybe we'll move our queen to d2 and try to win this knight once our opponent decides what move they want to play next. They are sort of in a not great position. I think moving their pawn to f6 robs them of this nice natural developing square for the knight. They could move to e7, but that blocks in their bishop and their queen. Not really, not a promising opening out of the gate for our opponent. But let's see, they may yet surprise us. Our opponent is savvy, our opponent is keen, so we do want to play carefully. Okay, so they play knight to e7. It does add a defender to this knight, which I think is kind of nice, but it blocks in their dark squared bishop and their queen. So we're sort of free to develop however we please. I like this idea of queen to d2 and then pushing our pawn to d5, attacking their knight. What order do we want to do that in? Because we could play pawn first, their knight moves, we move our queen up, and then we sort of develop with tempo, which I think is appealing. They will have to make another move to rescue their knight at that later juncture. Another option is just finish our development, get our knight out to d2 or c3. That blocks this, what is this, e1 to a5 diagonal. And I do want that open to harass their knight when the time comes. So I think I'll just play d5. Their knight moves out of the way. Let's say to like b4. We take. They take back with the queen, I guess, and then we can move our queen out to threaten their knight. So let's do that. We're closing the center here. I think perhaps conferring an advantage to us. With our pawns on light squares, our dark squared bishop has a lot of mobility. Their pawns are all on dark squares, so I think maybe our dark square bishop will serve more of a defensive role than an offensive role. And then looking at potential attacks. Oh, their knight moves back. Bad news for our opponent. I just think it's not a fun move to have to make, I don't think. I guess if we take here, they can take back, and they have a nice, sort of nice in the center. We've helped our opponent develop a little bit, so I think this was a smart move from our opponent. Knight back to b8. We could drop our bishop back if we don't want to make this trade quite yet. But I think let's just get a piece off the board. Threaten check. Yeah, unlikely to force their king to move. Yeah, they take back with their knight. I think that's a strong move. So let's revisit knight sort of zigzagging out this way. Or even just like knight out to h4 and then queen to h5 check. Now they have this knight that they can defend with. And I don't see a way to sort of press that attack any further. So maybe we hold off on that. Maybe we hold off on that for the time being. In the meantime, let's get our other knight developed out to c3. We'll get our queen out to e2 or d2 off the back rank. Okay, so they push f5, pushing a little bit further, threatening to break up our little pawn chain here in the center. I guess I don't mind if they take, because then we can take back. But what I really don't like is if they push further, they have this nice open space back here to maneuver and potentially launch an attack on our king side. So I think maybe we should take. We should probably take here. And if they take back, there we go. That's an exciting move. So we take here, they take back with their knight. We can maybe develop our knight and then get our queen out. Well, I guess we can't take back if our knight is in the way. We might have some way to win a piece here. So we'll take here. I expect they will take back. If they take back, we could sacrifice this knight. They probably take back with their knight, and then queen comes out to h5, delivering check and threatening their knight on f5. And then I don't see a way. I don't see a way they can defend against that. I guess their pawn could come out to g6. That would defend against it. Okay, so we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay, knight takes back as expected. Let's see. We could play our bishop out to g5, where it's protected by our knight, threatening their queen, which doesn't have a lot of spaces to move. I think they would have to move their bishop out. So we're sort of helping our opponent develop if we do that, which I don't like very much. Knight comes here. That's a fork, but the queen defends it, so we can get their queen out of the way. That might be nice. This just loses the knight, which I don't like very much. What's a nice natural developing move that we can make? I think knight to e4 looks pretty good to me. It gets our knight more to the side of the board, where we're sort of starting to mount an attack on their king side because they haven't castled yet. They're at least 2 moves away from castling. If they castle king side, this weakness on the f file, it's just like wide open for attacking. Not wide open, we still have our pawn in the way. But this looks pretty good. Adds another defender to this g5 square. Ooh, so what does this do? Knight out to f6, threatening our threatening our pawn here. It is defended by our queen, which I don't like as a long-term strategy. Maybe here we can move our bishop out, or we can move our knight up to this square, potentially threatening. A knight on e6 is very advanced, very dangerous. I guess if we move here now, this knight is hanging, so we lose that knight, which obviously I don't like very much. But if we take here, well, if we take here, and they take back with their queen, then we can move our knight up because it's defended by the bishop. But if we move here and they take back with pawn, that's less good for us. It does open up more ideas of queen to h5 check because they don't have the same defense that they once did of moving their pawn up to g6. So let's do that. Let's trade knights. Oh, let's check too, so that's pretty forcing. They take back with the pawn. Maybe we can drop our knight back. Not every move has to be an aggressive developing move. Obviously, if we want to move our knight into danger, if we want to move our knight forward, all 4 of these lose the knight. To both of these to the pawn, to a pawn, and then to our opponent's knight. We drop back, opening up queen to h5 check, and I believe winning this knight. So unless they do something very clever, they still haven't castled yet. They might, I don't know, they might move their queen up or out. Not a bad idea. They move their rook out. Okay. Onto this semi-open file. I think that's a good move. Threatening maybe, I don't know, eventual operations on the king side. Any piece that they would use to attack is sort of blocked in by this f6 pawn. So I think we move forward with our plan and just go ahead and win this knight. Let's go ahead and win this knight. Also dangerous, queen down to h7, which is very likely to be a check. I think guaranteed to be a check because their king has to move out of the way. They don't have any pieces they can intersperse other than their rook, which would be a losing proposition. So we could press the attack here. We could play... Actually, no, I don't like this, because if queen takes h7 check, our opponent resigns. Yeah, I think that's fair. A couple misses. Let's take a look at those. Yeah, this did not look good for our opponent. I think it was going to fall apart very quickly. Let's take a look at the review, I think, to confirm what we already know. I've already done a review today, again, recording many videos in one day just to prepare for some upcoming travel. Let's see, e4, e5, classic ruy-lopez opening. This bishop to b5 after the knights come out. This is the ruy-lopez. I don't know if d6 is a move necessarily in the ruy-lopez, but I think we played this as well as can be expected. I'm just going to keep an eye on the analysis bar. Here I'll switch to the full analysis screen so we can see sort of what's going on. Already a slight edge for white. Again, this f6 move, I don't think that's very good. We develop our pieces, I think, fairly naturally. Good move from our opponent, dropping the knight back to b8 to prepare for the capture. Pushing the f pawn even further just looks bad for our opponent, I guess. The engine's top move is knight out to g5, which I think is interesting. It's threatening. Oh, it's threatening a move that we saw later in the game too. Knight to e6. Very dangerous, very advanced knight on an outpost, so protected by this pawn. And then the queen checks to follow. That looks bad. So maybe we can explore that a little bit further. Actually, yeah, let's explore that. Can we sort of dip into this alternate line? Let's see. Engine is recommending. Let's say they take here. We have. They're not yet recommending. Queen takes check quite yet because I think they still have this defensive resource of g6. Oh, I think my camera went out. It's interesting. Let's see if we can fix that. Let's see if we can fix that. All right, I got my audio working. I do just want to look at the very end of this video real quick. So we've got knight takes f5. We get our knight into the mix. We trade knights. And this is where things start to fall out for our opponent. They resign pretty quickly after this. We drop our knight back to d2, opening the path for queen to h5 check. They move their rook to the semi-open file, which I think is like a decent move in any other situation, but they have this glaring weakness on this diagonal here. So we take check, we move out of the way. And if we look at the rest of the game, I was entertaining the idea of queen takes h7 check, but I think with bishop getting in the way, that's sort of less appealing. So queen takes like h5 check. They have two options. Moving to e7 is checkmate with queen to e6, and if they move king to e8, we still have just a very oppressive attack on our opponent. They can move their queen or their bishop into the way. Either way, we get their rook for free, and it just looks, it's not looking good for our opponent. So we have this advanced pawn, we have this massive attack, all because I think this critical weakness, they pushed their pawn to f6. I think that was a poor move, and they should not have done that. So that's all for this video. See you all next time.